Hi there, my name is FixedFox and welcome back to this lazy Deathworld run. Having a really fun time here, and we have resecured our iron ore patch to the east, and we are now putting in some of the other prerequisites we're going to find in this playthrough. It's going to be the prerequisites for the yellow science that we're really getting into. That's going to be the blue chips here, as supplied by the green and the yellow. They're coming up the way there. BT dubs, we don't have nearly enough green or red chips to fully saturate this whole belt. That's going to be a future FixedFox problem. And we're also going to get into low density structures, and we do have the robot frames. So it's going to be yellow science by the end of this run. But in the meantime, I've got to go get myself some new copper ore. My copper ore patch in the base is dwindling, folks. What does that say? Oh, that's really low. That's less than 50K, I think. And that's just not going to last. So it's going to be time for us to go out and adventure in the same way that we adventured and got ourselves some of the iron ore processing and the iron ore mines. We're going to now need to go into this copper patch to the southwest. Now, I liked the iron ore design of the mining operation so well that we're literally going to copy and paste it. We're going to have to change a few things. For example, we are going to need to change the rail train station. The train stations is going to need its own little moniker. And then we're also going to need to make sure that we figure out a way to deal with the lack of iron ore that was supplying the ammunition for the gun turrets. You can see that we kind of have that structure there just peeking out at the southeast of this little screen now. And we were going to smelt the iron ore on site, but of course this is a copper ore patch. What are we to do? I'll ask you. By the way, folks, we are still sticking with these single-ended trains, and there's a very good reason for that. They're just so darn effective. I understand when people say, oh, I love my gigantic trains, and we have a right lane and a left lane, and a minimum of 2 lanes for trains is typically what I'd recommend. But in this early game, we are building in a way that's just going to get the job done, and that's okay. Same basic structure as with the Eastern iron ore patch. It's going to be the double-ended train with 2 cargo wagons for the dry materials, and then the 1 fluid wagon for the oil that's going to be brought out, so that way we can supply lots of flamethrower turrets. That is going to be the plan, and it's right about now, I think, I realize, oh gosh, I can't make ammunition out of copper. Okay, but that actually begs like a real world question. Why not? Yeah. I know, like iron, you know, it's like a metal, and you want to shoot it at people, and it's got to be like hard and stuff. And I guess that's why. I guess that's why you can't make bullets out of copper. I need somebody who's smarter than me in the chat to just let me know, why can I not make ammunition out of copper materials? But I will digress, and I will just stick to the rules of the game. I'm not here to create waves. Okay. But we get our oil going in here. So now the base is more or less defended, right? It's not really the gun turrets that do the heavy lifting, but I still want to get the iron ore processing for ammunition going. And so I say, look, okay, flamethrower turrets, that'll do a lot. There is an iron ore patch to the immediate south of this copper ore. It's not much, but maybe I can get away with doing the same thing I did for our oil production, our little oasis in the northeast. Let's just use some solar panels, or let's just use some production, or rather efficiency modules. It's going to be the green efficiency modules that we really want to use, and let's just try to get those going. I did have an idea where I was going to barrel up some oil, and then I was going to get it into an assembler, and then I was going to unbarrel the oil, and I was going to have like this real true little oasis here, rather than get a train that was going to ship out the oil. But then I realized, look, if you're going to have a yellow belt that's going to bring material from the south into the north, you might as well have pipes that bring the liquid from the north to the south. And so both the copper and the iron patches in the southwest, they're officially from this point on going to be kind of symbiotic. The gun turret ammunition is going to be supplied by the iron and the iron patch, and then the oil is going to be supplied by the copper patch. So one cannot live without the other. With the ammunition on the way, I am satisfied. I'm going to turn this mining process right back on, and that's going to go into the trains. And folks, we've officially got ourselves an exterior influx of the copper ore, and I'm very, very happy for it. This is actually a big deal, because our future is secured for quite a while. I just have to make sure that, like we saw in previous playthroughs, I can now actually defend these exterior bases. There's no good in trying to claim land if you cannot defend it. So with that, I'm going to turn my attention actually now back to things on the home front. Part of the reason why we did what we did here was because we just didn't have enough copper to make the materials necessary to move on into some of these more important builds. For example, low density structures. So the blue chips, they take a ton of copper. Low density, they take 20 plates of copper for each and every unit of low density structure. So we need the copper now. And so believe it or not, we're actually going to get into some high quality electric smelting now for copper before we even got it into the iron ore. Iron ore is going to stay on stone furnaces and steel furnaces. And meanwhile, we're going to throw down these electric furnaces for the first time. And we're actually going to use those to get our copper going. Do note that we do not have nuclear up. I've been trying to stockpile up to the 40 bits of the U-235. Is it 235 or 230? I can never remember. I'm trying to get into Covrex processing, but I might have to derail that goal just so that way I can get a little bit of power going, because these electric furnaces are going to absolutely soak it in. You can see the earlier vestiges of my copper processing. It's like the occasional iron plate, or rather the occasional copper plate. Everywhere you see pink, that's just like what is currently being supplied. This big influx, one full belt of copper via a red belt, is actually massive. It's a big upgrade, and all of a sudden we're going to be doing more processing than we ever were before, right? So just with one additional smelting stack, and I say to myself, well, with one smelting stack for copper, not quite doubling it, right? How about we just try and just double our copper? You know you're going to need it. You know you're about to really step on this processing. I just throw down this extra processing for copper iron right now. And then I don't know if I love the placement of where I'm throwing down the low density structure. It's here to the northwest of the processing for the copper smelting, but it's going to work out. Low density is such an important structure that wherever you throw it down, you can just justify building it around that, and that's not going to hurt your feelings too bad, because low density is just used for just about everything, and it is just so very labor intensive. If anything, where the low density structure goes in is actually going to more or less inform where I put some of my other buildings, like for example my rockets. I don't know why, but low density and rockets, they just seem like they should go together. I'm using my prioritized lane swapping here, I suppose you could say, with the splitters. I'm prioritizing materials to the main base, but anything extra on this one extra line is going to go on up. And I'm actually pretty much fully saturating on this low density. It's not going to last though. Pro tip, just heads up, it's not going to last forever, but we might as well do our best what we can for now. We're not building to scale, we're not building to ratio, but we are going to throw down 7 of these utility yellow science labs, or rather yellow science assemblers. Again, at this point now, we've got all the requisite materials. Low density, that's one of them. Robot frames, we've had this in the process for quite some time. And so I'm going to put the robot frames and the blue chips on the same belt as we try and snake that all the way through. And I'm actually doing something I love here. I've mentioned, folks, that I love spaghetti. And at this point, we are absolute spaghetti chefs in the very best way possible. Because I don't anticipate that I'm ever going to need to adjust or upgrade my nuke train, you know, the double-ended train that just goes back and forth and back and forth. I'm just going to build squiggle lines right next to the gosh darn train line. How often do you see a squiggle belt? The answer is not much, but it warms my heart. It adds a certain degree of whimsy to my Factorio runs whenever I do get to do nice little squiggles. Whenever people do like hexagons or like beekeeper styles of city blocks, that always makes me happy. Anything that's not a square, truly, it makes me happy. Okay, alrighty. So yellow science is basically on the way. You just gotta get the low density up. You gotta get the blue chips and those robot frames going as quickly as they can. We are gonna start making some of these Automation 3 assemblers, and they are gonna be quite a bit faster than the Automation 2. That is the huge plus, not to mention they are gonna have some additional slots for modules. So I'm making the very most of my materials I currently have. We are researching quality right now, but I don't anticipate that we're going to be doing a lot with quality. And I'm a little bit sad to say, folks, but if you are a longtime space age Factorio enjoyer, Factorio 2.0 is coming out pretty soon, and it sounds like the quality casinos are on the way out. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. I never was a huge quality casino enjoyer myself, but the idea of trying to get the highest quality materials is nice to have. We're not going to do a lot with quality, until we at least get to Fulgora. About the time we get to Fulgora, folks, that's gonna be the time that we really do quality, but we are still gonna need to go to Volcanus very, very soon after this. Okay, so we got a lot of materials. We are making some adjustments. There's lots of infrastructure here, and we got tons of power issues, and that means that soon we need to figure out our nuclear. Folks, my name is FixedFox, and I'll see you in the next one. Take very good care. Bye now.